In this video, I want to show you how you can adapt a commercial wooden lucet to any particular yarn size if you need to. Now this lucet is one that is in my first two videos of a lucet, and let me just grab the pieces so you can recognize it. I'll grab one piece. This was shaped like that. It was much longer, and it had two prongs that were shaped like that and curved out. And as I was using it, it's your typical shape for a lucet on the market. But as I was using it, I found that it was much harder to get the stitches up over the top of the prongs when they curved out like that and they were so thick. Plus, this is, it's called a light DK weight, but it's really a sport weight yarn. It might be slightly thicker than sport weight, but I don't think so. So I needed one that makes an actual tight cord, and you can see it right there. I've got about 3/4 of an inch done of a sport weight yarn. So I cut the two top prongs off. And this is really cheap plywood, so I couldn't call this carving, but what I did was shape the top into points so that when I pull the stitch up, it's not, you know, the other one curved out this way. And so you have to pull the stitch way out here and actually way up here to get it over, which gives you like this much yarn. You know, I'm not sure, this is the typical shape of lucets that you buy, and I'm not sure why they make them that way, because, you know, I don't know what yarn they're thinking of, or what weight yarn. So anyway, I reshaped this like this. I cut the two prongs off, I shaped the top, and I put two notches, one on either side, right there. And the measurement that I needed is in between the two prongs at this point. So that is about 1/2 inch. Now, even though the prongs are thick, and overall this is about 2.5 inches, this is really the active stitch area, and it's 3/4 of an inch. So, and all I used a regular handsaw, just a regular like tree handsaw, some sandpaper, and these are files, because sometimes these work better on plywood than sandpaper. But that's all I needed to cut the notches, cut the tops off, reshape it. And so now, if you're working with sport weight yarn, your working area in the center needs to be 1/2 inch. And then you can decide how wide the overall lucet is, depending on how much you like pulling a big long thing of yarn as a stitch and then putting it over the top. I got annoyed with that other shape, and let me bring that piece back. I mean, this is very, you know, fairly thin yarn, and I had to pull the stitch out to here to get it to go over that top, which left me 3 inches to then pull on the working yarn to get it to make the correct gauge braid. So now let me put the camera on a tripod, and I want to show you a specific way I'm using this to stitch with, so that it's different from using them for very loose yarn. This is a specific way I'm stitching to make them tight and to the right gauge for the yarn. Okay, now like I said, this is sport weight yarn, and you can now see that I want a tight want a tight gauge on this, and I want an actual cord that I could use, say, for decorative braid on a sweater or a shirt or something. So I'm doing the same stitching that I did before. I come around from the back to the front on both prongs, hold the working yarn in the back. I knit the right hand stitch first, because that was the first one I wrapped. Then what I do on the left stitch is pull it tight and over, slide it down just a little bit, and pull the whole thing tight. And then center it. And look at how tight that braid is now. Now I'm going to, I've ordered a few Lucets, and I'm going to check how each one of the commercial Lucets works, because it's almost like they're made for general use, and that would be worsted weight yarn. But when I just loosely do them, or even use the same stitch on them, they don't always come out consistent. So I'm finding that you may have to adjust your Lucet a little bit. Now I need to pull. Let me do that again when I get this straightened. This is the beginning of the braid, so it's not quite going down through the hole yet. So that was a sloppy stitch, but you can see that I'm still getting a consistent size to the braid. And I've also found that this will twist as you knit it. So when you pull it down, you want to straighten it a little bit. And it's easy to straighten it because you can see that it's a square cord. And see, I was pulling this way up to get it to knit, and now, which left me pulling this one way out to the left. And then pull the braid down. And straighten it a little bit. So from the back to the front on the right, from the back to the front on the left, knit the right stitch, knit and pull the left stitch, and then pull the working yarn, and then pull the working yarn. Straighten the braid and do the next one. So with sport weight yarn, you need a 1/2 inch area between the two prongs. And then depending on the Lucet you're either cutting from a tree or buying, you may have to make adjustments to whether or not you want to cut notches, how wide this part is, but you need a 1/2 inch space in the center to make a tight sport weight knit braid.